Spencer, you guys, Alex Ovechkin didn't play the last 5.5 minutes last night. Is he okay health-wise, and kind of what went into, or was it a coach's decision for Alex?
Yeah, he's fine. It's just protecting a lead late. Deployment, he's fine.
In terms of not controlling the matchups, I know you said this going into Montreal too, that there are certain things you can do to sort of manipulate that on face-offs and icings. How important is that for a coach going into a road series, knowing that Rod has the matchups in 3 and 4?
Matchups play a role in significant role in the series, and it's our job to navigate it, and whether we get the last change or not, and the things that I can do to manipulate some of the matchups. But it'll be an in-game thing, and we'll see where it goes. I'm sure I have an idea of what he's looking for, having played against them in the regular season, and know what he looked for in those scenarios. Having gotten to know the last couple games, even when you're at home, you can get a feel for the types of deployment he uses in certain situations after special teams, all that sort of stuff. So you sort of get into a rhythm of what to expect at certain moments in the game. And then you see where it goes. Sometimes you get away from a matchup because you feel like hasn't gone well that night, and then you go back to it the next night. Sometimes you change something in game that just isn't working in the first period, and then you want to look at something different. So it'll be we'll manage it as it goes.
Is Charlie traveling with you guys? Do you expect him to be able to back up?
Yeah, he'll travel. Stole it.
He's good to back up for Game 3.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if I have anything to ask. Just what do you think of? You've been talking about a lot about defending in the zone. Has that been one of your strengths? I mean, you don't want to play in the zone as much as you have, but has that been a strength?
Yeah.
As far as keeping things to the outside and blocking shots.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the strengths of our group, is being able to defend. I think spending time in there, especially against a team that's right up there with one of the top teams in the league, it's spending the most time in the offensive zone. We know we're going to spend some time there, so it's important that our details and our structure is dialed in. So whether that's shot blocks, whether that's coverage stuff, a lot of things that go into it, but that's something we take a lot of pride in.
Spencer, just thinking back to October, November, there was always, talking to the guys in the room, a little bit of that chip on the shoulder because they're saying, the Capitals aren't maybe a playoff team, not very good. And it seemed to be early season motivation. Is there still some of that around now when you've got, Carolina says, all the numbers and all the analytics, you look at media outside of DC and they still say Carolina. Is there still some of that mentality in the room about that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I do think that is. We don't talk about it a lot. We don't bring it up. We don't show the playoff odds but we do. I think I sense it in we're human. Guys read things. They look at different stuff. And we know since the beginning of the year that we haven't been where most people projected us to be, and I don't think it doesn't mean it just adds a little bit to we're going to try to do what we do and prove people wrong and continue to do that. I don't think it's played a significant role this year, but I do think that it's in the back of guys' minds of a little bit of an underdog mentality of continuing to prove people wrong and continuing. We talked a lot about that last year of something to prove, and a lot of guys haven't. And I still think that resonates, even though we don't use the slogan and we don't really talk about that as a group. I look at a lot of individual players coming here with a lot to prove. You could easily bring that same slogan into this year's team with guys like Jacob Chychrun, Logan Thompson, Pierre-Luc Dubois. I love using John Carlson as a prime example because I think it's so impressive what he's doing at this stage in his career of continuing to prove that he's an elite defenseman in this league. So I think a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's in the back of our minds of guys in the underdog mentality of people outside of our walls doubting the Washington Capitals in our group.
Carbs, you said after the Montreal series, and you said after last night's game that you think there's another gear, another level this team can get to. From the improvements you saw from 1 to 2, and maybe what you've seen after last night, do you feel confident that that gear could be reached down in Carolina in these next 2 games?
I do. I have a lot of belief in our group, and I feel like game 1 to game 2 and significant parts of game 2, you could see us getting to the level that we're going to need to play at, and it's going to even get a little bit more difficult going on the road. I do, and I know the guys can feel it as well, and I have confidence that they understand that, okay, we got this series back to square one. We evened it up. We did what we had to do in game 2 to get back into the fight. And now going on the road for 2 and them having home ice advantage through the challenge increases a little bit. And that means that we're going to have to meet that challenge with our game, and the things that we're doing on the ice for 60 minutes is going to have to get better. And I think they know that and embrace that. And I genuinely believe we can play better. And so hopefully that comes to fruition in game 3.
You mentioned John just a second ago. For him to get his first goal since March 22nd last night, just how big is that moving forward for him? Huge goal. Big moment. Thought it was, momentum, confidence for him. You could see his, I watch his reaction, like he was fired up. And John's a pretty cool customer, and when he shows that type of emotion, you knew that it was a big goal and a big moment and a big goal for him. So I absolutely think, and hopefully that adds a little bit of spark to his game, especially offensively. He's been solid as a rock in all the other areas, but offensively, to get on the board with the game winner like that, hopefully he carries that momentum.
Looking at ice time last night, Lars Eller logged just over 9 minutes. What have you made of his playoffs so far?
I think Lars has been solid. I think last night was a little bit tough. They have that shift that, was getting sort of 2+ minutes. Then we're sort of on our heels in the third period after that shift. So now we essentially go to 3 lines at that point. And that's where you see the question about O's ice time and that. This time of year, when you get into these moments, 1-goal games, from a coach deployment, there's timeouts that go into play. You're rolling basically your penalty kill guys, protecting a lead, spotting some other guys in at certain points. So I thought their line, like with Leno and Mange, I thought they've done a good job. They played well through the Montreal series, scored a huge goal. Mange scored a huge goal in Montreal. I know they all weren't on the ice at that moment, but big goal there. I thought they've given us solid minutes, and we're going to need more of it, to be honest with you, with now going on the road and playing down in Carolina. So whether it's Lars, Ratty, Mange, whatever that line looks like, it's an important line for our group, and I think they, them continuing to give us good, solid, reliable minutes and be able to control play in their minutes is important.
Last question, another loud building, very loud building, particularly on a weekend when they've been, tailgating all afternoon. Do you feel like the Bell Center might have prepared you guys for what you're going to deal with down there?
Yeah, I actually do. I think the experience of playing in Montreal, the noise, everything that goes with playing in a hostile environment, I think we can lean on those experiences and hopefully we do a better job handling that. Remember game 3, first round, getting comfortable in that, but game 4 was much better in Montreal, so we will rely on some of that experience of playing in. I mean, you could argue these are 2 of the most difficult buildings, Montreal and Carolina, to play in the league. So it's good. We can rely on that experience.